Really, this is a message really for the whole Klal Yisrael, because you parents are unbelievable, and your families, and your Rav, but this problem of kids off the derech is spreading, that ein bayis, ein mishpacha, asher ein shames, which means that it's affecting already everybody. So here's the problem that we had. A bungalow colony of, let's say, 100 families. Inside they have 2 or 3 families that never have kids off the derech, right? And the other people are saying, we don't want to see these kids here, right? We don't want them around. And it happens all the time. Neighborhoods have this problem. And especially in a bungalow colony, it's like a small little place. We want our kids to see only, wonderful things, and all of a sudden these kids come up on Shabbos, and maybe they drive on Shabbos, or maybe motorcycles come, and maybe they go to the pool, or, like they're smelling stuff and cigarettes and weed, and you could have a situation where there's like an uprising against the families that are struggling Nebuch, and not because these other people are bad. And they could say, I feel terrible for you, but we don't want you here. Now, I advise not to put your kids in situations where anybody's going to say anything negative or anything like that. I don't think they should be in bungalow colonies anyway, because everyone's looking at them funny, unless you're like in an amazing, Kirov colony where they're surrounded. But even then, the kids are going to look at them like they don't fit in. And I've spoken about the summer plans. But I think that as this problem increases, we need not only to train the families of your families that are struggling. We need to train the block. We need to train the kids on the bus who are making fun of the kids who have siblings and saying, oh, this is your brother, he looks like your cleaning lady. This is your sister, I thought it was the cleaning lady. And they're killing people with that. And we have to really train them, because nobody taught them, the 2nd graders, the 4th graders, all different ages, nobody taught them how to digest this. And some of them call names, shiksa gaita. They don't realize that they're hurting, being merachik, these kids from Hashem. They don't realize that that's not the right way, because nobody spoke to them. And we need to really begin to think about, I don't know who can do it, but really explaining to the community what Hashem wants. And it's not for me to say. The big Rabbanim have to get out there, and the big Rebbes have to say, listen, it used to be 1%, 3%, 5%. Right now, we're in a matziv that Klal Yisrael is hurting. There's a lot of kids who are struggling, a lot of people who are struggling. And now we have to learn Hilchas Hatzalas Nidachim. Hilchas, just like when Hatzalah came out, you learned Hilchas Shabbos. If you're driving on Shabbos to save for Hatzalah call, we need to learn a new sugya. And the big rabbis have to do that. But what I told them was, I said, you know what I wish? Because you can meet the bungalow colony people, and they can have meetings, and they can have all kinds of, oh, what are we going to do? And we got to tell them you can't this and we can't that, and we don't like this, and we don't want this in our place. Could we throw them out? Could we not throw them out? It happens every year with somebody else. I would say, like, what would happen? Just dream with me for a minute. What would happen if the whole bungalow colony came together under their das Torah, and they said, you know what? We, as a colony, are going to be mekarev this group of kids that fell in from Shemayim into our lap. We, as a colony, are going to put money and time and effort this summer, right? Just like we're having in my bungalow colony, they decided they're going to finish Shas by next year. So they put up a board, and everybody's going to learn 20, 30 blot. Beautiful. What a nice idea. Goodness Yisrael put out that every colony should finish Shas by next year. Beautiful. Someone came up with an idea. Everyone's willing to chip in, and it gets done. What would happen if the bungalow colony got together and said, listen, there's 3, 4 families over here, there's 3, 4 kids, and their friends, who are all a bunch of lost kids. All of their babis and zaydis davened in shul next to your babis and zaydis. They're all wonderful kids. They're not hurting anybody. And we're living in a time of an emotional, spiritual holocaust where kids are b'chal Shabbos and hurting themselves and all kinds of bad of drugs and suicides every day. So we're going to use our summer, just dream with me for a minute. If we all got together, we said, let's use our summer, that in addition to coming up for the weekends to spend with our wives and our kids, we're going to have a project. And we are going to be mekarev these kids and their friends. And we're going to start Thursday night with a barbecue instead of going out to whatever. Or we'll go out for supper with our wives. We'll come back. 12 o'clock at night, we're going to have a barbecue at the pool. And one guy will bring the meat and one guy will do the stuff. And we'll have fun, right? And we'll have shilas along the way. We'll have questions. Do you serve beer? Do you not serve beer? Well, girls and boys, separate, not separate. We'll have questions. But let's make it our project that if Hashem is giving us into our colony, into our location, into our block, if Hashem is giving us broken neshamas that are hurting, and they're dying for our acceptance, why shouldn't we make this? Let's teach our children. We are going to be makarev. I guarantee you the hatzlacha would be amazing. Not by the end of the summer, right away they'll feel good about it. The kids will be calm. You won't hear the stories because all the stories of the kids driving on Shabbos and making a ruckus is only because of richuk. I put out a story of the Vizhnitzer Rebbe that a guy came with a motorcycle on Shabbos to the Rebbe, like to show him, and the Rebbe told him, "Come whenever you want, however you want. I don't care how you get here. I don't care how you dress." And he said, and that's where I stayed, and he became a Vizhnitzer Chassid. And that's it. That's what got him. So if they come up and they're all blowing smoke in everyone's faces, and people say, "Guy, don't do these shigets and then get out of here. How can you come here?" Whatever, you'll have a war. Right? The example that I give, not that they're like dogs, because they're not. They're wonderful kids. But imagine you open up your door, and you see a big dog right in front of you. 6-foot dog. Right? So now if you go, "Get out of here, you dog," he's going to feel intimidated. He's going to be scared by your vibe, and he's going to jump at you, and he's going to attack you. But if you just relax and you say, "Hi, dog," you sit down on the floor, you show him, "I'm not here to hurt you. I don't want anything from you." You show that you're not a threat. Right? You build the trust, and you get some food, and you push it over, and you say, "Here, have some food." You'll see that in a short period of time, this dog will put his kepi down on your lap, and will show you where his boo-boo is. And if you do that long enough, that dog will defend you. These kids are not rebels, and they're not bad, and this shallow, small-minded people who don't do any of the stuff that all the GEDOLIM did will run out there and scream at them, and you're pushing away your own eternity, your own Olam Haba. Why can't we just learn the Zayir HaKadosh? Everybody's looking for a segula. How can you be guaranteed nachas from your children, from your grandchildren? Nobody can say, "I know for sure my grandchildren are going to be anything," because we have children of Gedolei Olam. We have children of the biggest rabbis in the world who are the furthest away from Yiddishkeit. The Zayir HaKadosh says that if you are makarev those who fall away from the throne, read it. If you run after them, he says you have to run after them and to purchase them full price ba'agar shlim. You're zeicha to Yiddish nachas from your grandchildren. And we think that by doing that, it's a bad hashpah. It's the total opposite. That's the Yetzer Hara. He gets you to realize, don't be makarev, it's going to be bad for your kids. The Zayir HaKadosh says no, that it's a segula for Yiddish nachas. What would happen if as a community we said, okay, enough is enough. There's 90% of us and 10% of them, or 95%, whatever. There's more of us than them. Let's go out there Friday night, not to yell at them and scream at them, "Get out of here." Let's engulf them. Mikveh Yisrael Hashem, the Baal Shem Tov said, the greatest mikveh of Hashem is Yisrael. Let's surround them by loving people who show them that we accept you and we love you. What do you think would happen? Just curious, what would happen? So you know the story with me with the Novominsker Rebbe? It's a great story. I said it recently, I want to say it again. There's a family that came to me from Muncie, and the neighborhood really got upset, the neighbors. They're walking on Shabbos to shul with their kids, and these kids are outside smoking on Shabbos. Good Shabbos, blowing smoke. They were very offended. We don't go all the way to Muncie to see Chil Shabbos B'Farhesia. They were really upset about this. And a bunch of neighbors from around the neighborhood went to their Rav, and they said they were up in arms, right? Can't have this. We can't have this. I mean, this is crazy. You know, we got to get rid of them. Oh, who told them to be so nice to them? Oh, Avi Fishoff. Oh, who's their Rav? The Novominsker Rebbe. Okay, he's going to complain to the Novominsker Rebbe. Now, by chance, Siyata D'Shmaya, I happened to go to the Novominsker Rebbe's house to discuss with him something, Inyan, B'Negea to this, but not this family. I didn't know about this. I went to talk to him about something, and I finished my meeting with him in the afternoon at 2, I think it was at 2:20. I'm about to leave, and the Rebbe says, oh, at 2:30, this and this rabbi, this Rav, is coming to talk something about the family that I sent to you. He sent the family to me. So why don't you stay? So I said, okay. So I stayed. 2:30, ding dong. So the Rebbe looks at me. He says, answer the door. So I went, opened the door, and this Rav looks at me. He almost died. He turned pale, and he was there with his wife, with the Rebbetzin. They couldn't believe it. It was like a Mordechai and Esther. It was like a Haman situation over here. It was like, what are you doing here? Like they made an appointment behind my back that I did not know about with the Nova Mitzvah Rebbe to complain about me giving advice to the family that he sent and that they want to throw the guy out of the community. And I'm like, hello. It was a true story, every word. So I'm like, I'm all uncomfortable, you know. I'm like, hi. So the Rebbe tells him, sit down. So he sat next to the Rebbe, and the Rebbetzin sat over there. And the Rebbe says, Avi, come sit down. So I'm like, okay. I was pretty embarrassed. And the Rebbe says, what can I help you with? He couldn't talk. He literally could not talk. He was, so the Rebbe said, I can't hear you. Speak up. He couldn't talk. Imamish couldn't talk. I felt so bad for him. He stopped. He couldn't. So the Rebbe instead started talking for him and said, well, we're here because actually there's a complaint. And she started explaining about the fact that the neighborhood, the people in the block and around, don't want this family to embrace their kids and to allow this to happen. They should put rules and boundaries and tell them if you can't behave, throw them out and all of that. So the Rebbe turned after they finished and he said, do you know who this is? So they said, yeah. So he said, well, this is Avi Fishoff. Anyway, he gave me a beautiful eulogy. I was mamish embarrassed. He was saying whatever. And then he says, well, he's the expert. So what do you say? So I'm like, I felt so bad for them. And I said, anyway, it was a back and forth. The end of the story was that they send parents to me. That Rav and Rebbetzin send parents, a few since then. It was a few years. And they're fully on board, and they're very, very supportive. And the saddest part is that one of the loudest voices against this family is a TP parent now, where just a couple of years later, it was their own kid. And then they started to see things differently. And they realized, okay, so we have to realize that. And what I told him, here's what I told this Rav and Rebbetzin, not to win the argument, because it doesn't, you'll hear it doesn't help you win. It's just a deher. And I would say that to the bungalow colonies as well. I could just tell you one thing. If I was the neighbor, and Chaim Glantz was the neighbor, and all the people, Yanki Horowitz and Yaakov Solomon, and all the people, all the wonderful people, Izer Babad, and all the guys out there on the street, and Ronnie Cohn, if we were all the neighbors, all of us who for the last 20 years went out and fabringed with these kids and helped the situation, if we were we would be thrilled. We would look at each other and be like, ha, great. In the comfort of our own home, right on our block, we could be makar of people. I have a teepee family here who's my neighbor. Didn't bother me. Because this is our opportunities. And if you learn the Zayar HaKadosh, the schar that we get, and we're turning away, and we're upset, and we're angry, and get them out, look at it. You get more schar than any Torah Avodah Gemilas Chesed that you could possibly do. It's unbelievable level of Avodas Hashem. Plus, it's a skula, or a skilla, to save your own kids. So what could you want more than that? And that's what I told them. I could just tell you one thing. If we were the neighbors, all the people who were Nasui Liboy, what does it say about Moshe Rabbeinu? He went out with his heart to see I forgot the Lashon, to see the Tsar of Klal Yisrael. Huh? In Mitzrayim, right? Well, there were so many people in the last 20 years. Ma'atzav Da'ig B'Tzerusim, right? If those people, we're not scared of these guys. We're not worried about our kids. I brought them into my house. I didn't have to do that. I raised 4 kids with these kids in my house every Shabbos, Machal Shabbos, smoking and all of that. I still had this past Shabbos. A kid who came to my house smoking in the middle of the meal and walks in on Shabbos, and my Shabbos table smells like a cigarette, like an ashtray. I raised my kids that this is our tafkid. So at some point we have to realize it's not 1 out of a million anymore. What does Hashem want from the rest of us? What does Hashem want? What would the Baal Shem Tov, what would the Chazon Ish say if they were in the bungalow colony, the Kedushas Levi and all the tzaddikim? What would they say if they were in a bungalow colony and there were a couple of kids, lost kids, who want our love and want our acceptance? Would they be figuring out how to gang up on the family and throw them out? Or would they figure out how to use their kaiches and their time and their money to be makarev? I could say that being makarev is so pleasant and it works so well, and it's not a big deal. So you take them out, you make a barbecue Thursday night, and you go swimming till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then when you makarev them, they don't rebel against you. They don't bite the hand that feeds them. You win more bees with honey. They're the sweetest kids, but you have to know how to deal with them, like the story of the dog. If you go, if you go to them, what are you smoking on Shabbos? What are you da-da-da-da-da? They'll curse you and they'll burn your house down. But if you look at them with compassion and mercy, then they'll open up to you and they'll show you where their boo-boo is. And you'll be there for them. And I feel like if we would look at it like being makarev a Yiddish kind, you get paid $1 million. Right? In schar, it's hard to compare. It's much more. Let's settle for $1 million. We're going to offer $1 million to every single person who's makarev a kid. Everybody would run. You wouldn't be sitting here now. You'd run out. You'd go to Muncie, you'd go to the Shell station, you would get out of your car and you'd say, hey, there's $12 million here right now, opportunity. And we all can. So it really depends on what your basis of your knowledge is. Are they a problem or are they an opportunity? If you look at it at the schar and how it enhances our life, how we're rectifying sinas chinam with ahavas chinam, which is our way out of here, then the chances are that we have a lot more to gain than they do. And that's the way I wish that the world would start to look at this problem. We say, oh, it's not my kid, it's not my problem. And then it moves on your block. And then it moves closer. And then it's your cousin. And then it's your niece. And then it's your nephew. Until it hits home. Let's not wait for it to hit home. Let's wake up and realize that chanech l'dor al pi darkei. You have to know what every generation needs. And right now, our generation needs the healthy people to care for the sick, the strong to care for the weak. Instead of looking at them and using our koiches to look down at them, what could you do to actually help the problem? If we all gathered together, we used our koiches, time, money, and effort to support the organizations that are doing it already, and to create our own infrastructures of, we're going to help these kids. If this was our project for the bungalow colony, we could save so many lives. Because kids who feel loved and accepted don't want to die. And kids who feel loved and accepted eventually want to be like us. So I hope that we'll start looking at it instead of difficulties and as opportunities that Hashem is giving us for our own sake.